Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, July 4th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next few days, we will have increases to fire potential across the Great Basin as the first push of monsoon moisture moves north. Today will be fairly quiet lightning-wise. However, on Wednesday, we'll start to see this moisture move into parts of southern and western Nevada for isolated to widely scattered thunderstorms. These thunderstorms will push further north and east as we move through the week. These thunderstorms will likely be a mix of wet and dry, therefore increases to fire potential are expected as fuels are very receptive across Nevada and Utah. Over the last 24 hours, we've only seen some lightning across eastern Idaho into Utah, where most of the rainfall was concentrated near the Idaho-Montana border. Fire activity was light to moderate across the Great Basin as far as initial attack, with numerous new large fires across western Nevada up into northern Utah and southern Idaho. Over the last 7 days, precipitation has been focused across the northern portion of the basin, mainly across Idaho and Wyoming, with very dry conditions further south. This dryness has also been lingering over the past month or longer, with no precipitation over the southern areas of the Great Basin in the last 30 days. This is showing percent of normal precipitation. Over parts of northern Nevada into southwest Idaho, we did see some above normal precipitation. However, that was 3 or 4 weeks ago. How this translates into our current fuel conditions: ERCs have increased significantly and are between the 90th and 97th percentile or higher across much of Utah into southern and eastern Nevada. Also, many areas over southern and central Utah are above the 97th percentile and near records for this time of the year. Further north, despite lower ERCs, grasses are very dry, and so continued large fires are expected in these areas. The 10-hour fuel moisture is probably more representative of our grasses across the Great Basin, with fuel moistures very low anywhere from southern Idaho further south. Also, live fuel moistures have been on the decline rapidly across Utah, where areas are now below normal and approaching historic lows. Even over eastern Nevada, we've seen a significant decrease where some areas are below normal. The satellite loop from this morning, along with 500 millibar high pressure heights, shows the ridge of high pressure is now enhancing across the Great Basin and the west, bringing hot temperatures today and very dry conditions. However, as moisture from Mexico starts to push north, we will see that increasing potential for lightning from south and western areas further eastward as we move through the week. As we move through today, again, those hot and very dry conditions will continue across western and southern areas of the Great Basin. We don't have any high risk issued, but again, similar to yesterday, with the human starts across the area, there still is a concern for large fires with how dry the fuels are, despite the lower wind speeds. Under this ridge of high pressure, again, very dry conditions with single-digit relative humidity across Nevada and Utah, and generally light winds with the typical afternoon zephyrs across the Sierra Front into western Nevada, with wind speeds between 25 and 30 miles per hour at times later today. By Wednesday, this ridge of high pressure shifts a little bit further east over the Four Corners area, allowing that moisture from the south to move north over parts of southern and western Nevada. We have issued high risk for the lightning potential being a mix of wet and dry in these areas, anywhere from Mount Charleston north and west across western Nevada, where the fuels are very dry and receptive. RH will remain in the single digits over the southern two-thirds of the area, with generally light to moderate winds. However, near these thunderstorms, we could see some gusty outflow winds over western Nevada, and there may even be a little bit of lightning in Idaho that might produce some gusty outflow winds as well. On Thursday, the moisture really starts to move north and east as that area of high pressure slides a little further east, and that moisture is allowed to push eastward. Therefore, high risk continues and now expands further north and east across much of Nevada into southwest Idaho. Over Utah, we also may see a few isolated thunderstorms as well, but right now the bigger threat will be on the leading edge of the monsoon moisture. On Thursday, RHs will come up a little bit as this moisture starts to push eastward, but still only in the lower teens. Winds under this ridge of high pressure again remain light to moderate. However, near any thunderstorm activity, certainly gusty outflow winds will occur. Overall forecast amounts of precipitation does not show much across the Great Basin. Again, most of these thunderstorms will be on the drier side initially. Some areas could see some brief rainfall, especially in the higher terrain, but right now it will be very spotty and tied to the cores of the thunderstorm activity. As we move into Friday and this ridge shifts a little bit further east, we do have much drier air that works its way into far western Nevada and the Sierra. However, thunderstorm activity will be pushed further east, and that's representative in our high risk across the southern half of Utah into central, southern, and eastern Nevada. We still may see some lightning further north and will continue to monitor this threat, but right now fuels are most critical in the area where we have high risk. On Saturday, the moisture remains in place, with drier air now moving up into Idaho, but still enough moisture for thunderstorms across Nevada and Utah. We have not high-risked any of the lightning through the weekend. However, we will continue to watch this, as it will be highly dependent on how much moisture moves up and how these thunderstorms transition from dry to wet. On Sunday, again, continued thunderstorms, really region-wide. We may see a little bit deeper moisture start to work its way north. And you can see this also representative in some of the yellow coloring in our dryness levels over the southern areas of the Great Basin, as that moisture sits in place for several days. On Monday, again, continued thunderstorms, but we'll likely see better chances of rainfall, especially over Idaho and Nevada associated with the lightning. The 7-day forecast amount of precipitation still does not show much across the Great Basin, but I wouldn't be surprised as we move towards later in the weekend and early next week if we see some better areas of precipitation associated with the lightning activity. The 8 to 14-day outlook takes us from July 11th through the 17th into the third week of the month. You can generally see still warm temperatures and now above normal precipitation focused generally over the eastern half of the Great Basin, closer to that deeper monsoon moisture. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening and have a safe holiday.